Hi guys, my daughter just gave me a present. One of those spinny things. Super R new type. It's missing the battery pack. Charging socket there. SY3603. Don't see anything else telling us who it's made by. It's funny, quite often I say that and my hand's actually over the label, but no, I don't see anything on there that tells us who it's made by. She doesn't know if this goes with it. DanBar toys, made in China. That's a bit green and more bluey actually, so I'll have to replace that. I might be able to get that off. I'll try a bit of vinegar on it, see if that will just clean off the crystals. And then this thing, I'm going to have to make a battery for it, I think. I've done some measurements on it already, and I reckon I can get one of my 2S LiPo batteries in there, the ones that I make from the BangGood power pods. So if I 3D print a case for the battery to sit in, and then it's got to make contact with the contacts down there. So we want to know which way round is positive and negative. Right, I don't know if we'll see it on the camera, but just there's a picture of that power socket. Negative is the outside and positive is the pin in the middle. So turn that round to continuity. Untangle it a bit. Right, I think you can hear that. So if we touch that down on the spring in there. Actually I could do, no I can't do it the other way around. I've only got one probe at the moment, I don't know what I've done with the other one. Right, so that's touching the centre pin and we're getting the buzz from this side. If I touch the other one, we're actually getting a resistance reading on there. Probably can't see that, but we are. So that's obviously going through some circuitry before it gets to that point. So I reckon the one on the right is the positive, as we're looking at it here, and the one on the left is the negative. So go on there. Right, that's on there. Missed. There's two spring terminals at the bottom there that would make contact with the battery. That's about the size of 4 AA batteries at a guess. So if we go on there, should have power. There's No obvious lights coming on or anything like that. We can't use that. Let's try this one, 27 megahertz. Oh, look at that. Pretty lights. No light in that one. Oh, I see. I expect that the LED contacts are circular plates on there. So you have to how about does it spin? Left and right. There's a red LED coming. Oh, just there, red one. Red one there, I think, as well. Right, well, it looks like it works. So if we can rig up, or if I can rig up the battery for it. Oh, before I take that off, I'll go and put some vinegar on a cloth and rub it over there to get the crystals off. And then we'll have a little go, put a battery in there and see if this is the right one. Obviously it's missing the aerial as well. A little bit of vinegar. The thing with using vinegar is it often takes off the whatever the coating is on there. I was going to say silver coating, but it's not silver, it's coloured silver. But probably nickel in that or something like that, I don't know. It gets rid of the crystals. It also takes away some of the metal. Probably ought to wash that off as well, because we don't want to leave the vinegar on there. I'm going to get some water and wipe that off as well. Right, 9-volt battery, right way round. On, got a light. Oh, it is. Let's zoom out again. Right, so it's the right one. I say obviously we'll have to put an aerial on it, or antenna. So yeah, looks like we got a worker. Just have to make ourselves a battery box, and we probably need to sort out some sort of an aerial there as well. No idea what sort of length it would have been. Well, this is version 1 of my replacement battery. It's a bit tighter fit than I had in mind. And it does fit, but I have had to rub it down a little bit where the printing has actually left ridges on it. So if I could make it even ½ mm thinner, it would probably fit better. But I don't know whether to carry on with this or reprint it. And so that's very close. The idea is I've got 2 of these lithium-ion batteries out of the Poundland power pods, which I put together in series, so it becomes a 2S, because at the moment it's a single cell, 650 milliamp hour, 3.7 volts. So 2 in series. I need to put insulation between them. But 2 in series will fit in there. There's actually a little bit of space in there to allow for the insulation. And then this is the bottom panel, which you won't be able to see when it's in there. My idea is to get some flat metal plate and down through there, across and back up the other side, and then solder onto it at both ends. Solder a female JST lead, so have that actually inside the battery, and then a male one, make sure we aren't touching the ends there. Male one goes in, and that will all be inside there, but with a hole on the side, so we can actually unplug that and plug it into the charger along with a balance lead. It's going to be a bit fiddly. In fact, I might make that hole bigger, so because we've got plenty of room there, I could make that wide, so we've got plenty of room to get hold of it, get hold of the wires. We could technically charge it through that socket there, but I don't know what sort of voltage we can put in there, and it wouldn't be a balanced supply that the lithium ion would be expecting. I expect that was probably nickel cadmium in there, or nickel metal hydride. Yeah, 4 of them. The other thing I notice is there's a little sign there that says on off, which you can't see, so I assume that means the battery itself had an on off button on it, so you can actually switch it off. So that's something else to think about, whether to include that in there. Otherwise it's permanently switched on, because there's no other on off on it. I mean, obviously you can pop the battery out and then it's disconnected, then it'd be safe. But you're bound to forget that, although you're just as likely to forget switching it on and off. I'll have a little think as to where I go with this. Even if I don't reprint this, I may cut that bigger, just to give me more space to play around with the connectors. I'm going to take this old 9-volt battery apart and see if the casing, the metal that's made of, whether I can solder onto it, because it's quite soft, so that would be ideal to make the strips to go in there. So I'll get my soldering iron and I'll see if I can actually get that to take solder. If it takes solder, that'll be ideal. So it's quite soft and malleable, you can bend it around. That does seem to be taking the solder all right. So I'll cut that into strips and we'll see if we can use it. Right, cut a nice strip. So the idea is that's going to go through there, then back and come up through there. In fact, that way round. And solder that one onto there. Yeah, just remind myself which way round it goes. That's going to go in that way, and it was the positive on the right. Like that. So I'll do a bit of folding. Actually, I'll solder it first and then fold it. Otherwise we'll melt the plastic. Finger a bit close to it there. Might need to just trim that one a little bit. Right, so that's the connectors. So if we just push that down in there with a 2S LiPo. So that works. So battery's got to go in there, not this one. I'll make one out of those two. And that glues on the bottom there, so it's going to be sealed. That does need a bit of trim in there. And that's it, a working battery. Now we'll connect these two lithium-ion batteries together to make a 2S cell. Now these come out of Poundland power pods, and normally they have a little protection circuit on top, which also converts it to 5 volts. Because 3.7 volt cell, if it's going to charge your mobile phone's expecting 5 volts going in. So it has a little circuit sitting on top here that converts it to 5 volts, and I believe also gives you some protection so that you don't run them down too far. Having said that, I've seen these puffed up where they've obviously been able to run down too far. Anyway, I'm not going to fit protection circuit at all. I'm going to connect this one to that one in series, so negative of this one to the positive of that one. This is one I've already converted as a single cell. I'm going to take that positive off of there and put it on there, so positive in, negative, positive, negative. But if you just strap them together, the casing is positive. So all of that is positive, all of that is positive. If we connect that negative to that positive and then touch that together, you're connecting that negative to that positive and shorting that one out. I hope that makes some sort of sense. What I'm saying is we need to put some insulation between them so they don't touch. I could use this tape, which I've just taken off that one. In fact, I don't think it's quite, no, it's not quite long enough, typical. Okay, in that case we'll use some Captain tape, which is heat resistant, as I understand it. Right, I think we've lost some of the video there, so we'll just go over this again. I've taped the two cells together with insulation between them to stop them shorting out. I need to connect this negative to that positive, move that positive to that positive, and I also need to include the balance lead. The red goes to the red, which will be this one. The blue, or the central one in this case, will go to this lead because it's the balance lead telling it where the middle point is, and then the black will go to the negative. Now, I'm running my soldering iron rather hot at the moment, so let's just see. I'm running it hot because I was using some really cheap solder, which is why the end is dying. One thing I've found on quite a few of these batteries is these crimp connectors, where they just squeeze the wire in place, come loose when you tug them. So quite often I'm actually putting solder on them anyway. Let's just get that one up and cut that end off. Put a bit of solder on that ready. Okay. And then this one, we want to connect to the blue wire and that one, so we can twist them together before we solder. Positive can be quite a bit shorter. Right, we're going to have to be careful we don't touch that on there or we directly short out that cell. So let's get that one off there. Stick it down there out of the way for now. I can probably do this way round. Okay, so that's that in place. And the positive, we want to go onto there. Let's clean that off a bit. That's probably hot. A little bit overkill. Oh, it looks horrible. That is horrible, that solder. Actually, that's not the cheap solder I'm on about. That's the not quite so bad solder. Right, is that going to solder on there without me having to fuss too much, or is that all going to pop apart? That's a bit mucky. Don't like that. Right. Can you see that? I'll put some tape over that. I'll put some tape between it as well, I think, to keep them apart. Right, I've changed my mind slightly on what I'm doing here. I was going to have the battery standing upright, but if I put it down that way, in there, there's a big gap here, so there's no chance of any of the metalwork of the battery shorting out with either of these contacts here. So I'm going to stick it in that way round. Tuck that stuff out of the way. And we should be able to connect onto there, push that in there, and when we want to charge it, we can pull out that lead for the balance. So I'll put some double-sided tape on that to hold it in place out the way. So a couple of bits of this double-sided sticky tape. Okay, so that should keep all the wires nicely out of the way. I think I might even put a little bit of hot glue on that to stop the wires moving around, so we don't accidentally pull them off when we're recharging. Because because I'm going to glue this so it'll be a sealed unit. So a bit of hot glue over there just to hold the wires in place so we're not directly pulling on the solder joints. And while I'm at it, I've squirted a bit of hot glue down in there just to make sure the battery doesn't pop out either. So we'll super glue this in place when that's finished cooling down, and we'll give it a try. I might give it a charge first. It should be relatively charged, but oh, actually, there's a thought. Let's see what this one says. Put it in the right way round. Lithium ion, 73%. So it probably would run, but it'd be better if we charge it up a bit. Right, we'll give it a little try. I haven't put an aerial on the transmitter yet, so the range is a bit short, so we'll use this other transmitter. And we'll use the hat camera. I've no idea how you're supposed to judge the steering. Still, that works, doesn't it? So it's rather a complicated battery build. I put a hole in it there because otherwise you've got nothing to get hold of to pull it out. And I've just remembered I completely forgot about putting a on-off switch on it. So I don't know if it'll come out with a tap. No, it won't. So I'm going to have to hook something in that hole I've made so we can just pull it out. Probably a bit over the top, but that's the way I do things. I've made myself a good strong hook for getting that battery out. I expect once it's been used a few times it'll be a lot easier, but yeah, that'll do. Just for the record, unplug that, plug it in there, plug that one in there. Oh, we've got no power. Helps if we plug the other end of the power unit in. That's better. Okay, they were 650 milliamp hour batteries, so I'm charging it at 0.6. You probably can't see that anyway, can you? Not very well balanced at the moment. Not bad, but not perfect. So, there we go. That's our replacement battery for the, what did we decide it was called? DanBar Toys spinner. Thanks for watching. You'll find more information down in the video description. You might like to watch that video up there.
and you might like to subscribe over there.